This is Trevor Lui, who is the founder and CEO of Hi Bell Hospitality Group out of Toronto. And he is the current chair for Destination Toronto. And so we're going to talk about, as the screen says below, why event planners should look to Toronto for food and beverage inspiration.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
So let's talk about you first really quickly. What is I know you're also an author and you're a chef. And I remember what was that venue you walked me to the back of the house?
Oh, that was when I was working corporate at the International Center, one of the larger convention venues in the country, yeah.
And you showed me the biggest sous vide I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, we had some big stuff there.
Yeah.
I bought a lot of toys when I was there for my chef, yeah.
Okay.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was
I don't have budgets like that anymore.
No?
No,
We're entrepreneurs.
When you're self-employed, you don't have budgets like that.
Exactly. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what Hi Bell Hospitality Group is, your cookbook, and what you do.
So we do three main things. One is we have restaurants.
Okay.
Second, which is the core of our business, is we have a catering business.
Okay.
So we cater to about 20 plus venues in the city core of Toronto, a lot of unique third space venues. And then we have really ramped into festival and event design for unique events. So we've been doing quite a bit of that this summer, mostly with a lens on the food and beverage, and now getting a little bit more into music as well.
Oh, okay.
And then I wrote a book a few years back, and we still talked about that every now and then. I still got a few copies hanging around.
Okay, all right. Well, and it's a cookbook too,
It's
right?
a cookbook.
And it was like based on family recipes too.
Yeah,
right?
it was more almost like a family journal of our journey of food in Canada.
Nice.
I'm a first generation Canadian. My parents are from Hong Kong, and my family's from southern China, and so we can talk about Chinese food forever. But like if you talk about North American Chinese food, which landed here almost 300 years ago, a lot of that food is inspired from southern China, Cantonese cuisine, which is where my family's from.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Awesome. And I lived the other side of Canada for the Olympics in 2010, and there was a lot of Chinese there too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually going to be in Richmond in 1 week.
Okay.
And Richmond is probably the most dynamic Chinese community of all of Canada.
Really?
There's roots of the Chinese community exceeding 200 plus years there, because that's where many of the Chinese landed, obviously on the coast of North America and Canada. They had a hand in working the mines for all the railroads that were built.
Okay.
And they worked in the mining fields. Okay. So many of the people that were sent into the caves in the mountains that were blown up were Chinese workers. So yeah. And that's the birthplace of Chinese food, because that was food that was made for the workers, and then eventually was adapted to also serve Western palate for people that worked on the line with us. So yeah.
Okay. So then let's jump. We're going to go all the way across the country then to Toronto. And how did that? I mean, there's a lot of different provinces, and I don't even know how many provinces going across.
Yep.
How did that Chinese influence when it got to Toronto? Just kind of like that thing when you're talking on a string. Right?
Yeah.
Did it change?
Well, Toronto is the largest city. I guess the fourth largest in North America, not just the largest in Canada. So as an economic hub, it was also one of the few cities that a lot of Chinese migrants chose to go to. Montreal was one, Calgary was one, but Toronto was a mainstay, particularly in the 50s and 60s. And my parents came in the 60s. And so it's a fairly large Chinese community. Okay. And it's like with any mass migration from any city, some people choose communities where they can go and feel that there's ethnic enclave, that they can feel part of a community and intertwine and still have a little bit of home and a little bit of new, right? And that's really how the Chinese community became what it is today.
So, and actually there's a guy I need to introduce you to that I interviewed during the pandemic, who started a destination for older people who wanted to share their food culture. And it was his name's Len. I'll introduce you to him.
Love to.
So let's talk about Toronto and the diversity, because so you're Asian or Chinese Canadian. Chinese Canadian. And then what other cultures are in Canada? I mean, somebody said to me, "Oh, well, is he going to talk French to you?" And I'm like, I don't know if he speaks French.
Parlez-vous français?
Yeah.
That's about it.
That's all I know.
My French is horrible.
But what's the diversity of Toronto food, and why is it a destiny? I mean, I'm just bringing it right there.
So we speak over 200 languages in Toronto. Yeah. So over 60% of our population is born in another country. And so when it comes to the diversity of food,
Mm-hmm.
it matches to the diversity of our multiculturalism.
Right.
So you can get anything from Ethiopian cuisine to Laotian cuisine to East African to regional Chinese and regional Japanese
Right.
to regional Italian. You name it, we have it in Toronto. And that's one thing we love about our cuisine. I think as a city, what we've been able to do is we've been able to translate foods from our communities into the mainstream for visitors when they come to the city. It's very accessible.
Okay.
Right. And when I say accessible, it's also accessible to the point where we want to be able to demonstrate those communities, those flavors when it comes to event food as well.
Right.
We want people to really see what our city's about.
Yeah. So how do you, when you're designing those events that you're doing that you mentioned earlier, how do you bring that in? Is that different kinds of food trucks? Is that, and are you designing also like comfort food that has different flavors from all those different 60 dialects? You know, how does that?
I think first and foremost, authenticity is really, really important. So one of the things we do is we try our best to enlist assistance or guidance from people within those communities.
Okay.
Right?
Makes sense.
Certainly the easiest thing is you can go on Google and search anything these days.
Right.
But I don't believe that actually pays tribute to the food.
Right.
And so if we really want to focus and hone in on something that is true to a community, true to a culture, we try to find ways to have discussions with people to bring their food to the table with their expertise. And I think that's really important. And I think we should do more of that, is understanding that there are people within communities that don't have voices like we do.
Right.
And food is an opportunity to use as a voice and a vessel.
It is.
To talk to people about what their fabric of a city is when they come to that community. And that they're just as Canadian as I am, just as the young Irish kid or the young Italian kid or the young Caribbean kid. We all have our own intrinsic story about being Canadian. And I think that's a really big part of how we want to put food on the plate.
Okay.
Right. So if I want to do South Indian, like we did recently, we had an event that we curated. It was an open fire festival. It was all about, traditionally we would call it barbecue.
Right.
But if you think about open fire cooking is indigenous to many cultures around the world.
Right.
Particularly if you talk about Canada, the indigenous community was built on open fire cooking and foraging. But my culinary director is of South Asian descent. And what I really wanted to do is I wanted to work with her to say, how do we get South Asian flavors on a plate, but open fire barbecue style? And so we did it. Yeah. Right.
What did you eat?
We did, because we worked with pork, we did a pork belly skewer, but the work we did was really into the flavors and the marinating. So we took a really South Indian, Malabar-inspired coastal blend of spices, like our own curry blend, and we marinated the meat in this spice for 2 days.
Wow.
And then we grilled it on open fire.
Wow.
And then we served it with a coconut rice and some Indian pickles and a green chutney. So we didn't stray from the beauty of some of those Indian components, but we also charred it in a Western way on the grill over fire, right? Yeah. So it was trying to do both. Really, like a Canadian fusion way of bringing community flavors.
Right. And it's all about community flavors. Yeah, yes. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up because I think I have my question for you somewhere in here. So you also said, you've said before, and you and I have talked about this, and he and I actually are going to be on a keynote stage, right?
12 o'clock.
12:05.
West Coast time. Today.
West Coast time, yes. So we'll be on a conversation talking about this a little bit more as well. But you said diversity doesn't automatically mean inclusion. How can event planners go beyond representation to create authentic inclusion through food?
I think being thoughtful and being, we talked about authenticity is really important.
Right.
I can speak from a Toronto lens. We've been known by many to be one of the most diverse cities on the globe.
Okay.
But one of the things we talk about is not diversity, because you can have many diverse communities and flavors, but do you have a sense of inclusion? Do you make it accessible for everyone?
Right.
I think that's the most important part. Right. So we really try to work on about accessibility to food, accessibility to people, and things that we want everyone to feel comfortable and welcome. Right. And I think that's a very important thing, because if I'm moving into a foreign environment that I'm not very familiar with, it's sometimes overwhelming.
It is.
Right. Yeah. And that is with cuisine as well.
Right.
If you bring someone into a certain ethnic restaurant they've never been before, they know nothing about it, you can't expect someone just to navigate it. Right. And so you have to find methods and different strategies of how to make things more integrative and more inclusive and more welcoming for people.
Okay, so this is jumping back. Let's see. I'm This was 1982, and I moved to Okinawa, Japan. I was 14 years old. I didn't eat sushi until I went to college.
Wow. And Okinawa is known for, what is their most common... They have great seafood there for sure.
Great seafood. I mean, it's a little island off of Japan, so sushi and just fresh Japanese seafood and food. And I remember going into a Dunkin' Donuts, and they had, thought I was eating a jelly donut, and it was a bean donut, which was disgusting. But we stayed on base a lot, right? So we ate our normal food. Yep. I don't remember really exploring outside with my parents.
And of course, sushi in North American terms is not necessarily sushi in Japanese terms either.
Right. Yeah.
Right. A lot of sushi that was created for Western palate was lots of rice, use of mayo, use of fried goods,
right,
use of aioli and all those other things that's more savory. Mm-hmm. But if you take a look at the true Japanese sushi style, it's the rice,
right,
made properly with the rice level of vinegar, and good clean fish.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times you're not supposed to dunk it in soy. You're not supposed to dunk it in wasabi.
Right.
You're supposed to eat it the way chef intends you to eat it.
Right. Yeah. And when I was 14 or 15, I'm like,
no.
But I was like, the first time I ever had a bento box was like when I was 15.
Do you remember what was in that bento box?
I don't, but my friend Allison probably could tell you.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's something, I mean, I lived in Japan for 3 years, and people were like, do you speak Japanese? I'm like, no, I took Spanish in class because I was at a department at school. But it would be really nice to have my parents, and I'm not blaming my parents for anything, to be immersed into that food culture, a little bit more. And
Have you been back since?
No, and I need to go.
Would you like to go back?
I'd like to go back.
So I'm going to Hong Kong in about 5 weeks. But I'm going for the first time with both my parents. My parents are fairly elder now.
Right.
My sister and her family, my wife and my family. So we're doing a family trip. And the goal here is to be able to trace back some of our steps in our hometown of Hong Kong. So,
nice.
Of course, it's not really a town, but...
Right. No, I went when I was 15, and then I went back about 10 years ago.
Wow.
And yeah, it's very cool.
Quite a metropolis. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is. And then unfortunately, hopefully they've recovered from the the flooding. Okay. As the board, we're going to go back to Toronto here. As the board chair of Destination Toronto, what role do you see food and beverage playing in attracting and retaining major events? I mean, how do you use food and beverage as a tool or a method to bring, I don't know what the word is I'm trying to say, to entice people to come to Toronto? Because a lot of times we're looking at heads and beds.
Yeah, so if I were to speak honestly, if you're talking about a citywide convention of 10,000 people, I'm not necessarily sure if type of cuisine is going to be the slam dunk for you necessarily.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But if you take a look at culinary tourism as a method of attracting people to visit Toronto, then it's huge.
Okay.
Right? So you take a look at our strategy on our Michelin guy, and you take a look at our strategy on attracting Bravo's Top Chef, not regional Top Chef, the Top Chef, which we shot in Toronto and other parts of Canada. Those particular things help attract culinary tourism.
Right.
And as a byproduct, I think you can imagine that people who travel to Toronto from a tourism, more of a transient or leisure travel, particularly may have say in down the road what they do in their business lives.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's an indirect lineage there.
Yep.
If a convention is coming that does 3 meals a day and opening parties, I don't know if they're choosing Toronto because they heard the Cantonese cuisine is good.
Right, yeah.
But I do think that understanding that the city has really good culinary tourism and really good culinary certainly helps.
Right.
Good restaurants, good restaurant community that understands business events.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. These things are all very important in the dynamicism of attracting citywide conventions.
Right. Yep.
Right. And so I think it's part of the overall it's one of the check boxes for sure. I don't think it's a slam dunk, but maybe if things came down to it and people were like, what if someone on the board said, hey, I just visited Toronto last year. The food scene is unbelievable.
Right.
I heard the hotel food there is great. I heard the restaurant scene is great. I'm choosing Toronto. That's my vote. So I do think that there's some connection.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Well, and when planners are selecting destinations, I mean, it's more like, can this venue fit my event? But food and beverage is a large expense. Should it come down to looking at it? I mean, it's one of the largest expenses of an event. How can we elevate that destination seen from food and beverage to help pay for that food and beverage or justify that food and beverage?
This is maybe where, like, as an example, where our agency may come into play.
Mm-hmm.
We're not a large venue. We're not a venue, and we're not a hotel or a conference center.
Right.
But we are a partner with a lot of venues in the city. But we choose unique third space venues for events to create these networking events outside of the bubble of the conference or convention.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so for us, if you're coming to the city, our goal is to bring you to the experiences of the city outside of the convention zone per se.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually when you travel to a convention city, there is this zone that you usually work
sitting in this box, right?
Yeah, like this box, for instance. Our goal is to step out of the box and say, we have friends in this entire restaurant community. He's got a restaurant that seats 1,000. He's got one that's 50. He's got a private room for 20. He's got a chef's table for 10.
Awesome.
So we can do that for you. We can bring your executive committee in front of a chef. We can bring your board in front of this chef. We can bring your stakeholders that are 50 into a restaurant.
Right.
And that is about that secondary and tertiary experiences of food and beverage as a byproduct of choosing a city.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you brought up a conversation, third spaces, and you and I, this is what we're going to talk about partially in our keynote today. So I keep calling it a keynote because
we're keynote worthy.
Yeah, we're keynote. Yes. So
have you seen my profile photo?
Exactly. Totally. What does that, I know what it means to me. What does third space mean to you? And I've listened to my nieces talk about third spaces and explain what it means.
Can I ask how old your nieces?
They're 23 and 22.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So my eldest daughter is 21. So very similar.
Yep.
And I think they've really helped since COVID define what third space for us.
Right.
Because I think in our generation, we didn't really have a third space. It was first place was home, second place was work, and that was it.
And that's all we talked about.
That's all we talked about. Mm-hmm. But with the dawn of the pandemic, 1 and 2, first and second place got melded together. Right. Because we couldn't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. We lived and worked in the same space.
Right.
Until we were allowed to start going out a little bit. Mm-hmm. And going out meant coffee shops.
Right.
And cookie shops. And just little places that we can congregate, right? And use Wi-Fi and meet friends. Well, those third spaces are now essentially safe social spaces that a lot of that generation feel really comfortable in.
Right.
More comfortable than they would in a workspace. And that's why a lot of that generation refuses to do 5 days at the office, right?
Yeah.
But if you gave me a shared, safe third space,
right,
that's a space I would love to be in. And this generation also feels a lot more comfortable when they're at a business event in a space like that as well.
Right.
Where they get to choose when to eat, when to drink, when to network.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not sort of like strapped into a table with 9 other strangers, eating a dinner for 3 hours.
Yep.
And I don't necessarily want to talk to those people for 3 hours. It's not that I don't want to talk. It's just I may not have anything in common.
Right.
Right. And that's what we find is with our third spaces, it's going back into the community, working with small businesses, a lot of women-owned businesses, and finding about how unique their space. It could be a retail space.
Right.
It could be a health space. But can we transform that into a space of congregation? Right. And that's what third space means for us.
Right. Yeah. Well, and in bringing in that table should be that third space as well, especially when you're looking at an event and you're spending so much money on food. But I think a dining table should be a third space in that whole the evolution of that.
I call it the redefinition of the dining space, right? So, and this is just me speaking in general terms of the cost of producing an event. So we had a gala last night. It was at a really fancy hotel casino. I can just imagine what a per person cost was to be in that gala, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a very traditional setting. Mm-hmm. Reception, ballroom, fancy tablecloth, bottled water, wine, everything. Really expensive, probably. So expensive that your average attendee probably does not have access to.
Right.
But if you took a portion of that budget and reallocated it to something that was more laid back in a third space, that could potentially also support a small business.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Could you reallocate that money in a different way where it's more inclusive and accessible for everyone?
Right. Yeah.
Now, last night was probably a bad excuse because it was a very specialized event. But there are a lot of large business events that have these components of galas and dinners that, to be frank, if you've been in a conference space for 8 hours in a day, I'm not sure if I want to get changed and come back to the same room to have dinner.
Right. Oh, yeah, totally. Right? Yeah. Yeah. And I think just kind of on that note, in a lot of conversations, the cost of food and beverage as well. And I like I'm going to say astronomical, but is high.
It is astronomical.
And when you're looking at convention centers and hotels. And so some people are taking those third spaces that you have and finding it to be more economical, but creating that space. So,
well, I try to.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
I don't want to be, I'm not bashing.
No, but I want to break it down for a layman, for instance.
Right.
So if you walked into your local coffee shop on the corner,
right,
your favorite one, and you grabbed a muffin.
Right.
What does that muffin cost you? Anywhere from $2 to $4? On the high end,
yeah.
$5 maybe?
$5, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, if I were to buy that muffin from a Five Diamond hotel on the Las Vegas Strip,
right,
what would that muffin cost me? In banquet terms. Not even retail terms.
About 15.
$15.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if you told your local small business patisserie that I can give you $15 for the muffin? By the way, what if I just gave them $8 for the muffin?
Right.
They're like, what? You're going to give me 60% more for my muffin than I charge $5 for? By the way, if you did that, you would still save 50% than what you would spend in the hotel.
Yeah.
Right? So the maths.
Yeah.
Everyone can do well there. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that is understanding the dynamicism of how we need to change some of our events.
Right. Yeah. Well, totally. And Jacqueline Bernstein, do you know Jacqueline? Okay, from New York. She's like, go give gift certificates to the local coffee shop. She's in New York, so you can go walk to a coffee shop on every block and have them go get their own coffee and then come in versus paying for the coffee at the hotel.
Listen, we're restaurateurs as well, and like as restaurateurs know, it's much harder to wait for people to come into your restaurant than it is for my corporate clients to call me and say, we'd like to order lunch for 200 next week. This is what I'm going to eat. Right. We'll prepare those. We're ready to go. But it's the same thing. Like we can charge a little more in catering than we do for restaurants. Now, if you took that same theory and applied it to small businesses in a city, that's how you can sort of regenerative economy, right? It's what you leave, the footprint you leave in a community after your event is left.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Supporting local jobs. Right. It supports the local tax system. All that stuff.
Right. Yep. Okay. So the next question is, because we're talking about small businesses, a lot of planners, if they're coming from out of town, right, and they need to partner with somebody like you, but how do you find the local partners who align with your DEI values? And what's your advice for vetting those partnerships in a destination?
I go back to the first discussion about when you asked me how we bring flavors of community. It's authenticity. Right. So you really have to have partners, willing partners on both sides, right, to be able to get to the next step. It can't be performative. In fact, if it's performative, don't even do it. Right. So I think we have to be doing things that align with our business and with our attendee base. Our core values need to be aligned. Otherwise, it's like everything else. If you want to serve something that no one's going to eat, then there's going to be a reason why no one wants to eat it. Right. You also have to align things that work for everyone. And, I think Toronto is a little different story in terms of, our latest campaign is called 100% because we believe 100% of who we are has always been who we are. We haven't changed at all. We are who we are and that's the way we love who we are. And I think that's part of the ethos of the business and the ethos of the people who are choosing to do business with you. I really think that's really important. A lot of times we look at a lot of dollars and cents before understanding that, do we understand our customer well enough? And does our customer understand us? Are we able to deliver for them and their expectation? Right. Or are you just looking at the bottom line because the locked-in room rate was great? And
we've always done it this way.
Yeah. Is the locked-in per spend on food and beverage look so good that you don't care about anything else? Right. Does so do you forsake that for the livelihoods or the happiness of your attendees?
Right. Well, and that brings up a conversation that I had at lunch yesterday. And two people really didn't understand the whole concept of RFPs. And some RFPs are so long that you're trying to decide a venue based on all of these different things. But then at the same time, maybe don't delve so deeply until you've narrowed it down to the top 10. But still at the same time, then you've maybe cut out that whole thing you just talked about. Right.
Well, listen, I've always been a big advocate for utilizing the budget of food and beverage, which, as you know, it generally sits in the 1, 2, 3, or 4 spots of your overall line items of what you spend, right? Why are we not leveraging the things that we want for food and beverage based on what we're spending.
Right.
People should be fighting for that business.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But we're not for some reason.
No.
And I'm a supplier.
And here's our standard menu, right? Yeah.
This is the chef special. It's the best deal for you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Supreme of chicken.
Right.
Cheesecake.
Well, and I've talked about it. I don't know if I've talked about it on the show before, but my client was in one city, and he negotiated in the contract that the day of the week menu would be $56. And he didn't do that negotiation for the next year. And the starting lunch was $82. And I'm talking starts with the deli platter at $82 per person plus tax and gratuity, right? So it's $112 a person. And he's like, and it raised our budget by $100,000 for 4 lunches. And he's like, I can't do that. And so I had to go back to the negotiation thing, this is after contract is signed, and saying, hey, chef, I only have $63. What can you do? And it was taking some things off the menu, reworking some things, but those conversations have to be had before you sign the contract, in my opinion.
But I think it even goes a step further, is from a perspective of industry culture. I think we need to take a step backwards and understand that we are in the hospitality business.
Right.
We are in the catering business.
Right.
Which means those are the verbs for to be hospitable and to cater to.
Right.
And I think we've forgotten those things.
Yeah.
If your culinary team rolls their eyes and sighs because a customer wants to customize something, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah, totally.
We enjoy being able to write a custom menu I mean, that's what we train for.
Right.
We train to be creative for our customer. Right. If a customer comes to us and says, this is what we want to do because this is what we're feeling, I'm like, oh yeah, let's do some research.
Yeah.
We should be so excited for that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, even tying it to who the attendees are, right? Like not dietary needs necessarily, but like, are you in engineering? Are you having fun with it in that way too? Right?
We had a customer they were in the retail merch space, and they were launching a new collab with the Mean Girls.
Okay.
And they said, we want to do an opening party at our store. We need a Mean Girls theme.
Like with Tina Fey and Mean Girls.
Older. I think it was it Reed? No, I should know this, but it's a 90s movie.
Yeah, Tina Fey.
Was it Tina Fey?
Yeah.
Anyway, we did some research.
I mean, she wrote first. Yes.
And so we did food that was completely inspired by the movie.
Oh, wow.
And that was our catering menu.
Nice.
So it matched the theme, it matched the merch, it matched the attendees.
Right.
And they felt like it was integrated.
Right.
We need to do more of that. It wasn't like, sorry, we don't do that. This way, choose page 27. It's the best one for you.
Yeah. I remember going to one, I think we were in Columbus, Ohio, and it was the ILEA annual conference, which was called ISIS back then. And the movie with Stanley Tucci, the Italian movie where
Big Night.
Big Night, yes. So they recreated that. So we would go out in the lobby and eat what Stanley Tucci just made, and then we'd go in and watch the next part of the film, and then come back out and eat the next meal or the next course or whatever. It was fascinating, and this is 20 years ago. I still remember that.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was very.
I would love that.
And that was in a nice theater, big theater, and Stanley Tucci's great at food. Okay, destinations or venues that aren't as diverse as Toronto. I'm not even going to name one. You right? But what lessons can they take from a city's approach to food and inclusion? How can they bring that culture to life if they're not as diverse?
I mean, it's a big question. You have to want to change.
Okay.
That's the first one.
Okay.
If you don't want to change, don't bother.
Right.
Right? And then that goes back to, if you're going to do the change because it's something that you truly want to do, then you got to put the work into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an example, if you want to be more reflective of your community, go into the community. Bring people in, bring them to the table,
right.
Talk to them. Listen to your customer as well.
Mm-hmm.
If your customer is telling you they want you to change, probably means you need to change.
Right.
Right? And I'm not going to say that Toronto's perfect, but these are things that I think as a city, we're working on it. I mean, we've grown up really fast as a city. We went from 0 to 100 to be 4th largest metropolitan in North America. Like we talked about this earlier, Taylor Swift chose 10 shows for us, and Oasis did 2 shows. So like, we're that city. We're a big metropolitan. We're in the ALCS playing the New York Yankees. Game 3, by the way. If we win tonight, we knock the Yankees out. Knock on wood.
Cross your fingers.
But, you have to be able to be...
My cousin's son used to play for you guys.
Who?
Horwitz.
Wow.
Trevor, yeah, he was a pitcher.
Wow.
He's been traded. but I don't know where he's playing now, but yeah.
I would say that you only a destination truly knows its identity.
Right.
And what its ethos is. And if you, it's almost like a personal journey.
Right.
A personal journey, it's like you have to want to do the things that you want to do to make a change.
Right.
Not because other people are telling you to do it.
Right.
But if you listen to people, they become a guiding light for the things that you need to do to sort of get you in the next place. And I think that's a really big understanding, is that you can't just turn on your computer and type in DEI and type in culture.
Right.
And or go on ChatGPT and get ChatGPT to give you the answers.
Right.
There still needs to be a human side to all of this.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And listening to the keynote speaker yesterday, who's doing he wants to meet 10,000 people, and he sits down for an hour and he's up to 7,000 people now.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. But just having conversations with people, like yesterday, I asked the guy who was taking my bag, and I said, "Oh, have you always worked in the bell desk stand for the hood?" He's like, "No, I'm also a bartender." I said, "What's your favorite drink to make?" He goes, "Well, I don't drink." And I'm like, "No, what's your favorite drink to make?" And it was it wasn't gin and tonic, but it was something. But I'm like, just having that little tiny conversation.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What you can learn from getting to know people just a little bit. I love having conversations with line staff because everyone has a story.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their own struggles. Everyone has their own journey.
Right.
And I think it's really important for us to humanize everything.
Right.
Right. Empathy, emotion, and humanizing scenarios make things easier. It makes things easier to have conversations.
Yeah.
So.
There's I met a guy in Florida at the Hilton Signia, and 2 years ago, and he came to the United States 2 or 3 decades ago, didn't speak a lick of English, got into hospitality as a server, and has put 4 kids through college, and absolutely loves his job. And I think that is a testament to our industry and what hospitality is and what we do. And he was like, "What can I do for you, Trucy? How can I help?" And and I say this in this way, and I don't mean it to meaning, but he's a banquet server. But I can't do my job without him.
Yeah.
And he makes me look good. Yeah.
It's, my dad was a restaurateur, and he rarely slept, and my mom worked for the bank. And I think about, my grandfather working the walk. It doesn't sound glorious or glamorous, but they loved what they did.
Right.
And they raised their families with it.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think we lose that sometimes because life is so fast. The pace is so fast.
Yep.
We forget the person who's serving you that cup of coffee, what they're trying to do for their families and for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah. I think a lot of us worked some level of serving job at some point. I washed dishes for years before I was accepted to be a bar back or a server or a busser, right?
I hated being a server. I loved being a hostess.
Really? I loved bartending and I loved serving.
Okay.
I also love the tips.
I bet. Yeah. Okay. You've built restaurants, agencies, and now advise a tourism destination bureau to Toronto. What connects all of these roles for you when it comes to food, people, and place?
I think it's a sense of community.
Okay.
I think that we need to think about food as less of a necessity, but more of something that binds people together.
Yep.
Right? It's a storyteller. It's a vessel. It's a table for us to have discussion around. If I think about sort of how food has influenced me through the years, it's always been we've always had intriguing conversations over a meal.
Right.
Right? A drink or a meal. And it could be as small as a fruit plate in the morning to an extravagant gala dinner like last night. Right. But if you think about the jobs we've had, the tears we've cried, the joys we've shared, there's always a meal at the end of that.
Yes, there is. Mm-hmm.
Whether it's celebration of life, you're going to have a meal.
Right.
Whether you're at a wedding, you're going to have a meal.
Yep.
A cake with a birthday, it's always food.
Right.
And so I believe we need to put a little more emphasis on why food is so important. It goes back the full servant discussion about when you're negotiating your event and your convention, put more emphasis behind food. So it means so much to so many people.
It does. Yeah.
It's a lot more than just a roast beef wrap.
Right. And it can make or break whether people stay or go.
It can.
Yeah.
Sustenance.
Yeah.
How you choose your food and how it works in our body in a long day of conferencing.
Right.
Makes a difference.
It does.
All right.
Okay. A few rapid fire questions for you. Favorite Toronto neighborhood for eating your way through the city?
Chinatown.
And you did that here in Vegas last year, you told me.
Did it once today, this trip already as well.
What's one dish every visitor must try in Toronto?
Ooh, there's so many. But something that's very Toronto is a Jamaican beef patty.
A Jamaican beef patty?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a very Toronto thing. Even though it's indigenous to Jamaica, you have to have a beef patty. We're known for our beef patties.
Okay.
A culture of beef patties. And you can have it in different ways. You can have it as is, or you can have a supreme, which is cocoa bread, beef patty, cut open, slaw, some gravy, and then close it up and eat it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Can I have it without a bun?
You can.
Okay.
You can. It's not gluten free though, unfortunately.
Oh, then I won't be.
You can't.
Okay, no. What's your go-to comfort food after a long event day?
Other than my wife's leftover Uber, you may see.
Her Uber Eats?
Yeah. For a person that's in the food industry, I always tell people it doesn't take a lot to impress me.
Right.
As long as I'm not serving it or cooking it, I'll eat it. But you'll be surprised at things that make me happy. But if I had to, I'd probably go to my favorite Cantonese noodle shop in Chinatown.
Okay.
Have a bowl of noodles.
Actually, that is exactly what you said yesterday. She said her comfort food is a bowl of Chinese noodles.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. If you could invite 3 chefs to dinner, past or present, who would they be?
Tony Bourdain, number 1, past or present. Carl Bocuse and Cecilia Chen.
Okay. Right, 2 more. What's one word that best describes Toronto's food culture?
Ooh. One word. It's tough to say. I mean, tantalizing.
Tantalizing. Okay. Wow. All right. I'll have to come up and experience that tantalizing Toronto food. All right. Last one. Every meal should.
I'm going to change it up a little bit.
Okay.
We should never underestimate the power of a shared meal.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Thank you very much. How do people find out about Toronto?
You could definitely follow us on Instagram or any of our social handles at Destination Toronto. You can definitely visit our brand new spanking booth here on the show floor.
I will be doing that.
Yeah, okay. Nestled across from LA and Beverly Hills and next to Destination Canada.
Okay.
And of course, you can just jump on our website or you can just call me if you want.
And how do they get a hold of you?
LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Trevor Lui, email, DM, whatever you want. Okay. I answer pretty much everything. Okay. Unless my phone says likely spam.
Hopefully my name, you never know.
No, you're saved in my phone, so we're good.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. This is my friend Trevor Lui, and we are going to go walk the show floor and meet some people and talk some more about food and beverage in a little over 2 hours. Yeah. So until next time, which is tomorrow, Wednesday, stay safe and eat well and have a great day. Thanks for listening to the Eating at a Meeting podcast, where every meal matters. I'm Tracy Stuckrath, your food and beverage inclusion expert. Call me and let's get started right now on creating safe and inclusive food and beverage experiences for your customers, your employees, and your communities. Share the podcast with your friends and colleagues at our Eating at a Meeting Facebook page and on all podcast platforms. To learn more about me and receive valuable information, go to tracystuckrath.com. And if you'd like more information on how to feed engagement, nourish inclusion, and bolster your bottom line, then visit eatingatameeting.com.